Ethan never expected that sitting beside a stranger on a flight would pull him into a secret affair, a political war, and a choice that would tear his family apart. Before we dive in, make sure to subscribe if you love dramatic stories like this, and stay until the end because the twist will leave you stunned. The plane lurched through turbulence, and Ethan Hale gripped his armrest, his knuckles white. He hated flying. 35 years on this earth, and he still hadn't conquered that irrational fear of being suspended 30,000 feet above ground in a metal tube. "Nervous, flyer?" The voice came from his left. Ethan turned, and his breath caught in his throat. It was her, the woman from the restaurant 2 days ago. The one he hadn't been able to stop thinking about. Dark hair cascading past her shoulders, eyes that held something he couldn't quite name. Sadness, maybe, or loneliness, and a smile that seemed to cost her something to produce. "That obvious?" Ethan managed, releasing his death grip on the armrest. "Your knuckles were turning purple." She gestured at his hands with an amused tilt of her head. "I'm Ava." "Ethan." He extended his hand, and when she took it, warmth flooded through him. Her grip was firm, confident. "This is unexpected. Unexpected. I saw you at Marcello's Tuesday night. You were sitting by the window with an older couple." Ava's expression shifted, surprise flickering across her features. "You noticed me. Hard not to." The words tumbled out before Ethan could stop them. He felt heat creep up his neck. "I mean, you seemed lost in thought. I almost came over to say hello, but I chickened out. And now fate has seated us together on a flight to New York." Fate or dumb luck, I'll take either. Ethan relaxed into his seat, the turbulence forgotten. "So, Ava, what takes you to New York?" "Family obligations." Her tone indicated she didn't want to elaborate. She reached into the bag at her feet and pulled out 2 hardcover books. "I prefer to lose myself in fiction rather than think about reality sometimes." Ethan's heart nearly stopped. He recognized those covers immediately. The author photo on the back, the elegant script of the signature across the title page. "Those are Helen Hale's books," he said, his voice cracking slightly. "Her latest releases." Ava's face lit up, transformed completely. The sadness vanished, replaced by genuine excitement. "You know her work?" "Oh my God, she's my absolute favorite author. I've read everything she's written. These just came out last week and I couldn't wait. I have both because I knew I'd finish one before we landed, and I couldn't bear the thought of having nothing of hers to read." Ethan felt a grin spreading across his face. "Helen Hale is my mother." Ava's mouth fell open. She looked at him, then at the books, then back at him. "You're joking." "I'm not. Helen Hale is my mom, born Helen Richardson, married my dad Thomas Hale 38 years ago. She's been writing under her maiden name for the past 15 years. I don't believe you." But Ava was smiling now, leaning closer. "Prove it." Ethan pulled out his phone, scrolling through his photos until he found one from last month. Him and his mother at her birthday dinner. Both laughing at something his nephew had said. He showed it to Ava. She studied it, her fingers hovering near the screen but not quite touching it, as if the image were sacred. "That's really her. That's really Helen Hale. And that's you with her. That's really us." Ethan pocketed his phone. "She'd love to know she has such a devoted fan. She always says the readers are why she writes. I have so many questions for her." Ava clutched the books to her chest. "About her characters. About how she develops such complex emotional arcs, about—" She stopped herself, laughing. "Sorry, I'm gushing. I never gush." "Don't apologize, it's refreshing." And it was. Ethan had dated plenty of women who pretended to care about his mother's work to impress him. Ava's enthusiasm was authentic, raw. "You know what? My mom lives in New York. If you're going to be in the city for a few days, I could introduce you. She loves meeting readers." Ava's eyes widened. "You'd do that?" "Why not? We're already sharing a 6-hour flight. Might as well make something good come of it." For a moment, Ava didn't respond. She looked down at the books in her lap, her fingers tracing the embossed title. When she looked up again, something had shifted in her expression, a wall coming down, or maybe just cracking. "I'd like that," she said softly. "I'd like that very much." The plane hit another patch of turbulence, but this time, Ethan barely noticed. He was too busy trying to figure out how he'd gotten so lucky, and whether this woman sitting beside him had any idea that she'd just become the most interesting thing to happen to him in years. They talked for the next hour, the conversation flowing easier than Ethan had expected. Ava asked about his work. He practiced law at a mid-sized firm in San Francisco, corporate litigation, nothing glamorous, and he asked about hers. She was vague, mentioning something about art consulting, but her eyes dimmed when the topic came up, so Ethan steered them back to safer ground. Books, movies, the best restaurants in San Francisco versus New York. Ava had opinions, strong ones, and she wasn't afraid to challenge him when he suggested that New York pizza was overrated. "Overrated?" She looked genuinely offended. "You can't honestly believe that." "I'm saying it's good, but people act like it's a religious experience. It's bread, cheese, and tomato sauce. It's not just the ingredients. It's the water, the ovens, the tradition. You don't understand because you've probably only tried tourist traps. I've tried plenty of places." "Name one." Ethan rattled off 3 names. Ava shook her head at each one. "Tourists," she said definitively. "Next time you're in New York, I'll take you to a real place. Then you can apologize for your ignorance." "Is that a promise?" Ava paused. She and Ethan realized what he'd just implied, that there would be a next time, that they'd see each other again after this flight. Her expression grew guarded again, that wall sliding back into place. "Maybe," she said finally. The flight attendant came by with drinks. Ethan ordered coffee. Ava asked for water. As they waited, Ethan noticed her wedding ring for the first time, a simple platinum band, elegant but understated. His stomach sank. Of course she was married, so women like Ava didn't stay single. "How long have you been married?" he asked, trying to keep his tone casual. Ava looked down at her hand, twisting the ring absently. "A while. Your husband's a lucky man." "Is he?" The words came out bitter, sharp. Ava seemed to realize it too, because she softened immediately. "I'm sorry. That was inappropriate. You don't have to apologize." "I do. You don't know me well enough for me to unload my problems on you." "Maybe not," Ethan said carefully. "But I'm a good listener. Comes with the lawyer territory." Ava smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Let's talk about something else. Tell me about Helen. What's she like as a mother?" Ethan let her change the subject. He could sense the pain beneath her deflection, the carefully constructed facade she wore. Whatever was happening in her marriage, it wasn't good. And that ring she kept twisting? It looked more like a shackle than a symbol of love. He told her about his mother, how Helen had raised him and his sister Kay as a single mother after their father died, how she'd worked 3 jobs before her first book sold, how she still wrote every morning at 5 a.m. without fail. Ava listened intently, asking questions, genuinely interested. "She sounds remarkable," Ava said. "She is. Stubborn as hell, though. Once she sets her mind on something, there's no stopping her. I'd love to meet her." "Then it's settled. Give me your number, and I'll text you my mom's address. Does tomorrow afternoon work? Say around 2? Ava hesitated. Ethan watched the internal debate play across her face. Want versus should, desire versus obligation. Finally, want won. "Tomorrow at 2, she agreed, pulling out her phone. They exchanged numbers. Ethan felt ridiculously pleased with himself, like a teenager who'd just gotten his crush's digits. He was 35 years old, for God's sake. He should have more composure than this. But there was something about Ava that unraveled him. The plane began its descent into JFK. Ava returned to her books, reading while Ethan pretended to review case files on his laptop. Really, he was watching her from the corner of his eye. The way she bit her lower lip when she read something emotional, the slight furrow between her brows during tense scenes, the soft smile that appeared during moments of joy. He was in trouble, deep trouble. When they landed and the seatbelt sign dinged off, passengers lurched into the aisles, grabbing bags from overhead compartments in the usual chaotic scramble. Ethan stood, retrieving his carry-on, then reached for Ava's. "I can get it," she protested. "I know you can, but let me." She relented, and Ethan handed her the bag. Their fingers brushed, and he felt that jolt again. Electricity, chemistry, whatever you wanted to call it. From the way Ava's breath hitched, she felt it too. They shuffled off the plane together, through the jet bridge, into the terminal. The crowd swallowed them, and Ethan realized this was it. The moment where they'd go their separate ways, and he'd have to trust that she'd actually show up tomorrow. "So," Ava said, stopping near the baggage claim signs, "tomorrow at 2, I'll be there. You promise?" "I promise." She clutched her books tighter. "Thank you, Ethan, for the conversation, for the invitation. It was nice. Meeting you was nice. Nice." The word felt inadequate for what had just passed between them, but Ethan didn't push. "See you tomorrow, Ava." She nodded, then turned and walked away, disappearing into the sea of travelers. Ethan stood there longer than he should have, hoping she'd look back. She didn't. Ethan's mother lived in a brownstone in Brooklyn, the kind of place that spoke of old money and quiet elegance. He'd taken an Uber from his hotel, arriving 15 minutes early to prep his mom. Helen Hale answered the door in her usual uniform, jeans, a cashmere sweater, reading glasses perched on her head. At 63, she still had the sharp eyes and sharper wit that made her such a formidable writer. "You're nervous," she observed, ushering him inside. "Oh, I'm not nervous." "You're fidgeting with your watch. You only do that when you're nervous." Helen led him to the living room, a cozy space filled with books, plants, and the faint smell of jasmine tea. "So, who is she? What makes you think there's a she?" "Ethan, I'm your mother. I know when you're interested in someone. The last time you called asking if you could bring someone by on such short notice was, actually, never. You've never done this before." Ethan sank into the sofa. "Her name is Ava. I met her on the plane yesterday. She's a huge fan of your work. Has both your new books, has read everything you've written. I thought you might enjoy meeting her." Helen settled into her armchair, studying him with that unnerving intensity she usually reserved for her characters. "And you're interested in her?" "I barely know her." "That's not what I asked." Ethan ran a hand through his hair. "Yes, I'm interested. There's something about her, Mom. Something real. Most people I meet feel like they're performing, you know, playing a role. But Ava, even when she's guarded, she's genuine. Is she single?" "No." The word tasted bitter. "She's married, wears a ring. But there's something wrong there. I can't explain it, but I could see it in her eyes when she talked about him." Helen's expression softened. "Be careful, sweetheart. Married women come with complications." "I know. I'm not trying to pursue anything. I just wanted her to meet you because she genuinely loves your work. That's all." "If that's all, then why did you show up early to tell me about her?" Ethan opened his mouth to argue, then closed it. His mother had a point. The doorbell rang at exactly 2 o'clock. Ethan jumped up, his heart racing. Helen raised an eyebrow but said nothing. Ava stood on the doorstep in a simple navy dress, her hair pulled back. Minimal makeup. She looked nervous, clutching a small gift bag in her hands. "Hi," she said, her voice uncertain. "I hope I'm not late." "You're right on time." Ethan stepped aside, gesturing her in. "Ava, this is my mother, Helen Hale. Mom, this is Ava." Helen extended her hand, her expression warm. "It's lovely to meet you, Ava. Ethan tells me you're a fan." "That's an understatement." Ava shook Helen's hand, then held out the gift bag. "I brought you something. I hope it's not presumptuous." Helen opened the bag and pulled out a first edition of her debut novel, the cover worn with age. "Oh my, where did you find this?" "A rare bookstore in San Francisco. I've been looking for it for years." Ava's cheeks flushed. "I already have a copy, but when I saw this one, I thought, well, I thought you might appreciate having it." That night, Ethan couldn't sleep. He lay in his hotel bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment with Ava. The way she laughed, the way her guard dropped when she talked about books, the sadness that crept into her eyes when she thought no one was looking. He grabbed his phone and texted his mother. "Still awake?" Her response came immediately. "Can't sleep either. Want to talk about her?" Ethan called. "So," Helen said without preamble. "Ava, what did you think?" "I think she's remarkable, intelligent, sensitive, deeply unhappy." Ethan sat up, switching on the bedside lamp. "You noticed that too?" "Ethan, I write about human emotion for a living." "Of course I noticed." Helen paused. "She's married, isn't she?" "How did you know?" "The ring, obviously. But more than that, the way she talked about loneliness, about being seen but not understood. That's not generic loneliness, that's marital loneliness. The worst kind." Ethan's chest tightened. "Tell me not to pursue this, Mom. Tell me it's a bad idea." "Would you listen if I did?" "Probably not." Helen sighed. "Then I won't waste my breath. But I will tell you this, be careful. Not just with your heart, but with hers. Whatever situation she's in, it's complicated and painful. I know. Do you? Because I saw the way you looked at her today, like she hung the moon. And I saw the way she looked at you when she thought you weren't watching, like you were water and she was dying of thirst. Mom, I'm not saying don't pursue it. I'm saying proceed with eyes wide open. Find out what you're dealing with, who her husband is, why she's so unhappy, what you'd be stepping into. You're right. I'll ask her tomorrow." "Good." Helen's voice softened. "And Ethan, for what it's worth, I hope it works out. She seems like someone who deserves to be happy. And so do you." They said goodnight. Ethan finally fell asleep around 3 a.m., his dreams filled with dark hair and sad eyes. The next evening, Ethan met Ava at a quiet Italian restaurant in the West Village. She wore a black dress that made her look elegant and untouchable, but when she smiled at him across the table, all he saw was warmth. They ordered wine, made small talk about their days. Ethan had spent the afternoon in depositions. Ava had visited the Met, spent hours wandering the galleries alone. "I do that sometimes," she said. "Just walk and look at art. It helps me think." "What do you think about?" "Everything. Nothing." She swirled her wine. "My life, mostly. How it turned out versus how I thought it would." This was his opening. Ethan set down his glass and looked at her directly. "Ava, can I ask you something? And will you give me an honest answer?" Her expression grew wary. "That depends on the question." "Your marriage. Are you happy?" Ava's breath caught. She looked away out the window at the people passing by on the street. When she spoke, her voice was barely audible. "No, I'm not happy. I haven't been happy in a very long time." "Why do you stay?" "Because," she trailed off, then started again. It's complicated. I have time. Ava met his eyes, and in them, Ethan saw a war raging, the need to confide battling against years of practiced secrecy. Finally, the need won. My husband's name is Mark Henry of Henry Enterprises. Ethan's stomach dropped. Everyone knew that name. Mark Henry was a billionaire, a mogul, his face on magazine covers and financial news. And he's been sick, Ava continued. 7 years now, bedridden. He has a degenerative neurological condition. The doctors say he could live another 10 years, or he could die tomorrow. There's no way to know. Jesus, Ava. I married him when I was 28. I loved him. He was brilliant, charismatic, alive. We had 3 good years before he got sick. And then, her voice cracked, then I became a caretaker instead of a wife. He has nurses, obviously, round-the-clock care, but I'm still Mrs. Mark Henry, still tied to him, still obligated. Do you still love him? I love the man he was. I feel compassion for the man he is. But love, romantic love, that died years ago. I'm 39 years old, Ethan. I've spent the last 7 years living in a mausoleum, watching someone I care about slowly fade away. I have no life, no friends, really, no joy, just duty. Ethan reached across the table and took her hand. That's not living. I know. Tears spilled down her cheeks. I know it's not. But what am I supposed to do? Leave him while he's dying. I'm not that cruel. I'm not suggesting you leave him, but you're allowed to have something for yourself, something that makes you feel alive. Like what? Like you. The question hung between them, dangerous and thrilling. Maybe, Ethan said, if you want that. Ava pulled her hand back, wiping at her tears. I can't, Ethan. Whatever this is between us, it can't happen. You're a good man. You deserve someone uncomplicated. Someone who can actually be with you without guilt, without secrecy, without all this baggage. What if I don't want uncomplicated? What if I want you? You don't even know me. Then let me know you. Let me be your friend, if nothing else. Someone you can talk to. Someone who sees you. Ava laughed bitterly. A friend? Is that what we're calling it? Call it whatever you want. I'm not going anywhere, Ava. Not unless you tell me to. She studied him for a long moment, searching his face for something. Sincerity, maybe, or proof that he meant what he said. Whatever she found seemed to satisfy her. Okay, she whispered. Okay. Friends. But the way she said it, the way she looked at him, they both knew it was a lie. This was already so much more than friendship. They finished dinner, talking about safer topics. Ethan told her about his sister Kay, the aspiring politician with ambitions that terrified him. Ava talked about her parents, our wealthy socialites who cared more about appearances than their daughter's happiness. When they left the restaurant, Ethan hailed a cab for her. Thank you, Ava said, for listening, for not judging. There's nothing to judge. She stood on her toes and kissed his cheek, her lips lingering just a second too long to be innocent. Good night, Ethan. Good night, Ava. He watched her cab disappear into the night, knowing he was falling for a woman he could never fully have. And knowing he was going to fall anyway, just when Ethan thought things couldn't get worse. Mark Henry himself wants to meet him. A bedridden billionaire, a secret affair, a ruthless sister, and a little girl caught in the middle. What does Mark Henry know? Did Kay expose everything? And what will happen when Ethan finally walks into that room? If you want to see what happens next, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss part 2. And before you go, tell me in the comments, what do you think Mark Henry wants from Ethan?